Greetings. We are back with Torment Tides of Numenera once again. And it is one of those things where I seem to remember the end of the last one being a little exhausting because I kept dying. And so we're going to restore the game back to a little bit before the last death, and we'll kind of see how we go. Alright. Pre-rumble, that's the one we want. Pretty sure that's the one we want anyway. So yeah, there was no way to really deal with this without fighting. So, let me actually go and chat with with Avina real quick. See if there are any other perspectives here. As we're in my mind right now. Let's see. The machines in the stasis chamber are transformed into shattered smoking wrecks. The ghostly woman laughs the first time you've heard her do so, though the humor in it is dubious. I died. I remember it now. I never survived the stasis chamber, and the probability engines were his vain attempt to resurrect me.
I'll remember that.
Apparently we're going to remember that. She looks sadly at the translucent man representing her father. He doesn't know. He thinks he can save me, but he's lost me forever. Tell him. Tell him he can never get me back, not the real me. Maybe that'll help. Oh, hey. All right. Everything's still happening over here the way it has been? Yes, it has. Okay. We can give that a try.
Ready.
Can I help you? No, he says, but he doesn't appear to be speaking to you. That's not right. Her hair was softer, thinner. Her eyes more like caramel. He speaks to the machine again, swipes through the air rapidly, then sticks his hands inside the engine and rearranges several delicate parts. I'd really like to help you. He continues his work, completely oblivious to you. You have to tell me how to shut down the machine. Okay, his face darkens. I won't shut it down. You will not force me. Once again, the labyrinth constructs the tabat. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there we go. Yes. We're coming back. Yay. Don't you understand? Your real daughter is dead. Even with the machine, you can never truly have her back. Ah, that's what she wanted me to say. I get the feeling that there's going to be another restore in my future, but we'll find out. Because I only got like 40%. 80% is better than 40. Oh, good. No, my daughter is... He starts to point at the ghostly woman, then takes a closer look at her. Are you truly dead? I am not your daughter. She is gone forever. He looks between you and her, despair growing on his face. Finally, his shoulders sag.
I'll remember that.
Despondently, he says, watch. He places his hand on the side of the engine and says the word Nishu. Suddenly, a glowing interface appears in the air. He presses 5 symbols in a specific sequence. He performs the ritual a second time, and then the machine grows quiet and dim. The ghostly man begins to fade. To the woman he says, I only wanted to set things right. Then he is gone. Yay! Okay. Yeah, so actually wandering around and talking to people is helpful. That's good. Yeah, it's warm next to this machine. You feel dizzy whenever you go near it. You back over there? Yes, they are. Okay. He told you how to shut off the engines. Go, turn them off before it gets any worse. Where do I find the probability engine in the real world? Which we know where it is. We've seen it, but I don't know. But it looks like that. I'm sure of it. She points to the probability engine nearby. Keep looking. I know it's there somewhere. It must be hidden if it's still doing its work. Look underneath the city. There are thousands of buried secrets there. All right. Stop the machine, whatever it takes.
I'm ready.
Now let us chat with Syria. I'm gonna save the game again. Because that was much better than than getting killed. Yeah, we're gonna overwrite that one. Alright. Yes! More brain corridors! Gravestones and cenotaphs surround you. The ghostly woman looks out across the graveyard. Do you know what these are? Nope. I get the feeling you do. Well, it's either those who died in the siege, the copies of the machine created of you. Could be either one, really. I get the feeling you do. She nods mutely. They're the fruit of that damn engine. I remember now. It copied me over and over and over, overriding the lives of other girls with my life, as if I mattered more than they did. She wipes the back of her hand across her face. You thought it was never perfect enough, but it was too perfect. I died before I was 20, so the engine made sure that all of them died at the same age. Oh, lovely. That explains it. To an extent, you know, why they kept having to evade their lives. She looks at you, ghostly tears glistening in her eyes. It's still doing it right now in the real world. You have to stop it. Tell him. She points to the ghostly man. Okay, this is already... already there. Tell my father what his obsession is doing. He has to stop it, and then you can stop it out there.
I'll remember that.
Well, we already did that, but sacrificing... Maybe we wouldn't have had to have sacrificed as much persuasion. Who knows?
All right.
Who knows? These are interesting, though. I guess that's just going to keep happening, huh? Alright. Oh, those are all three of the pathways. So I think we're done in here. Yeah. No, I'm not going to go back and check it out. We're just going to go. Alright. Ah! Well, that was fruitful. It was full of fruit. Okay. Let's step back here. Sorry, I can't take you with me. Here's Syria again. Wonder if there's anything else we need to talk to her about before we leave. She idly flexes her transparent hands, humming a halting, tuneless little melody under her breath. The connection between you pulses with the rhythm of her song. I like your mind, the young woman says, peering around. Nice high ceilings. Right, yeah. I don't want to break my connection with her just yet. Hey, we'll be back. Not really much we can do with you right now. You don't want to come with me right now because I've got too many companions. Okay, we're going to need to go there soon. I gotta shut down the probability engine. Yeah, we're gonna be coming back hopefully in the room where it is, so that'll help. And we don't have anything new here, so we're good. All right.
Of course.
Off we go. Humanity. Gold tide represents stuff you can't read because there's not enough time. Hello?
I don't think you understand what your deaths do to people.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
What's going on?
Alright, so we're still okay there.
On it.
That's not it, but there's... Yeah. That machine... See, we'd need to bring someone else down here. And I'm half tempted to go and do it. However, let's shut this down first. Actually, let's leave it for a second. And save the game first because we won't have to worry about resurrecting. You speak the word Neshu, and the interface brightens. You press the same 5 symbols you saw the ghostly man use in the labyrinth. You're about to repeat the ritual a second time, as he did, but you meet resistance of some kind. Your hand simply won't obey. It's not a physical resistance. Something in your mind won't let you complete the sequence. Alright, we'll give this a try. Yeah.
I'm ready to learn something.
XP. XP! It takes an incredible strength of will as though some other mind were fighting for control of your body. Finally, you overcome it, entering the sequence a second time. The interface disappears and the machine quiets. It is done. See, I don't think that's the memory of the man. I think that's that major domo that's floating around in there pretending to be, there to help.
Let's go.
Machine is dim and silent now. Okay, so hopefully that will change things up top so that we don't have to worry as much with all the other crap. So, we could just use the mirror to teleport back out instead of crawling around all the way down there. We also have levels up we need to do. Should probably take care of. That's not what I was looking for. Alright. What now? Oh, we can only increase our stat pools at this point, so let's do that. We are an NO. I mean, I could do that, and then that would be that. So many things we need to be good at. So many things.
I need a rest.
Oh, that's nice. That wouldn't be too bad a thing since we're getting into more fights soon, but we do this a lot more often, so we'll do that. We've reached tier 2! Good lord. So many things! Gain +1 training level in lore machinery, +1 training in lore mystical, +1 training in lore natural. Gain 50% on esoteric attacks. Entropic field. Amazing small cone. Enemies in immediate area deals 8 physical damage to all enemies stuck inside the radius. Energize. Mind barrier. Oh, that's nice. Allows you to carry additional ciphers. That's not a bad idea. Teleporting an ally is also not bad. Jeez. So many things. I get, I think, 2 of these. Okay. So many things. All right. Do I want to be able to carry more ciphers. I want to do all of these. Unfortunately, I cannot. This is gonna come in handy soon. Data sphere. There was a reason I wanted to look at this, and I cannot remember now. That's weird. Was there not an option? Perhaps I am imagining this. But a moment ago, was there not an option that allows you to regain stuff, like 30% of the stuff you spend when you spend effort? Oh yeah, that was what it was. Okay. We have both of these because that would be neat. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. We already have that. Now we just get to pick 2 of these. I'm tempted to just take these 2. Quantum Step would be handy. In those fights, so many things that would come in handy here. I don't know. Alright. I think what I'm gonna do... Yeah. I could get the +1 intellect pool, +1 armor, because that would be nice, to actually have a little bit of armor. Still trying to figure it out, eh? Carrying additional ciphers would be very helpful. But I think what we're gonna do... I think I'm just going to get Mind Barrier and Flash. I think that's what we're going to do. Alright. Sorry, that took a while. There we are. Okay. Yeah, we got both of these. Oh, excellent. We can wear armor with limited costs. That's helpful. Alright, how are we all doing? You need to advance. Increase your edge, increase your effort. Ability or skill. What would we have? Either improving or picking a new skill, or improving one of your abilities. You can only do this once per tier. Okay. I mean, that would be helpful. However, I'm actually going to go, I think, to increase our edge. Since I have him do these kinds of roles where he has to convince people, I may... we're going to use the intellect edge, since that'll help. There we go. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. There we go. That is
Sure.
done. Yeah, I think we're just going to use the fast travel method here. Yeah, not a lot we have to do there.
Of course.
Let's go to the side mirrors. A flood of purple light streams from the mirror. As soon as you look at it, it lifts you from your feet and carries you into the mirror on the other side. Hey, just hanging out. Nothing to see here. I kind of want to see if I can use the Nycthemeron against the against those drones, because it's down in the same area. Or it's gonna, if it ends up getting teleported, it'll go down to that area. We will see. All right. In the meantime, though, what did I need to do? Things. I need to go there. Yeah, we already took care of those things. We just need to go to the Cave of Last Words. What else do we need to do? Discover Um's purpose. Need to ditch somebody in order to do that. Return to Folsom. If I, you know, with who I think committed the murders. Yeah. The problem is, it looks like it's Kiyatawa. Yep. So she's got some connection to the murder, but that's... I don't know if it was her, though. That's the question. Return to Zoffy. Oh yeah, we got what we needed. That'll be good. Okay, let's do that. Collapse cliff edge thing. Very sorry. Alright. Yeah, we got all that data. Okay. Let us go ahead then. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Anytime it's got like the little thing there, it's weird. Was there not? Yeah, trying to figure that out. It's kind of getting ridiculous. Okay. All right. Let's go down to Zoffy and have a chat with him. Rock I found. Oh. Come on, Rin. Alright. Zoffy's red-rimmed eyes narrow as you approach. You've learned something of my subject. Why did he go willingly into his murderer's arms? Tell me! Leave nothing out! He knows something. I can see it on his face. Let's lie. No. He was in love with a murderer, that's why he sought her embrace. He was just an ordinary man, not remarkable. His daughter was killed when their home collapsed. Grief drove him to seek his own death.
I'll remember that.
Grief! Zophie shouts, lunging at his nearest sculpture. He was ruled by sorrow, and the creature killed him. Did he call to her? Was it anger? No. Resignation? Madness! Alright. Carving, scraping, shouting, muttering. Zophie has clearly forgotten you are here, except for one detail. His hand gropes clumsily in his pocket, retrieves a pouch, and thrusts it at you. Spirit Shroud. I wouldn't mind a thank you. I'm damaged by energy, chemical, and transdimensional damage. Confers active 1 round, only usable by the last cast-off. This garment has no defined edges like wrapping cover. Someone fitted onto it a dozen crude metal hooking fasteners when properly draped over one's outer clothing. The fasteners provide a weather-tight overlap, ethereal and mist-like. The shroud's almost non-color, nonetheless, reflects a vibrant white, not unlike the snow and ice it protects against. It may well have been plundered from a grave, but the material seems new, spotless, and utterly devoid of wrinkles. Why anyone would want to protect the dead from the cold is a valid question. It will find better use amongst the living. Sure. Good luck and farewell. Yeah, we're not gonna have that conversation again. All right. I'm just going to save over it. Okay, is there anything else exciting we're supposed to be doing right now? All right. I'm gonna go deal with stuff underground. Yes. The list is decreasing. We really need to get this done. This I'm still kind of baffled at. But there may be some other things we can reveal through doing something else there. This we kind of just need to, deal with. Okay. I mean, there is that possibility. I don't know. There's that idea that we should, let me take a look. Cage's hum dips lower for a moment, throbbing almost at the limit of your hearing. Your bones and teeth ache briefly, and everyone within 3 meters of the cage claps their hand to their ears. You are trying to kill us all. Leave the cage alone. He shoves you away from the cage. Do you know what'll happen if that thing gets free? Do you understand me at all? This is a terrible idea. Nah, I mean, I wasn't intending to poke the cage a lot, but just that, it's that thing in the back of my head telling me you have to set it free in order to do the other thing, because they're both in the similar location, even though that thing's probably too big to fit inside the lazaret. But you never know. Apparently we're taking separate paths to get up there. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. But we'll see. Thank the God. I mean, good, excellent. You sure you don't know how that works? Not yet. All I know is when it's activated, it teleports whatever is attached to it to the Reef of Fallen Worlds. Tell me how you get to pass the guards again. Ask the Numenera and plant the device when they're not looking again. If they catch you, I was not involved. Give me the device. I'll see what I can do. Here, he says, handing it over and nervously licking his lips. Be very, very careful. I don't have another one. Blizzard gave you this small device to attach to the cage that holds the Numenera. He promises it will teleport the Numenera to a place of his choosing, but it will not work on anything else. Alright. Don't drop it. This is crazy. I mean, if this ends up where we end up fighting this thing, then I really just am probably going to restore back to this point. But we're at the point that I just need to try things. Okay. So, you have a 50-50 chance. You have a 60 chance. 60%. You have a 70% chance. You have 65. So we'll go with you. 90 is not bad. Here we go. You place Blizzard's trinket on the cage near the worn panel. Legs extrude from it, molding themselves to shape and texture of the cage's materials, and lights flicker up and down its length. You back away from the cage slowly as the lights gain speed and duration. The light show on the cage ends as suddenly as it started, but the Numenera inside begins to glow, its skin colors sliding across the spectrum, and it dissolves from the outside in, unraveling. This was a terrible idea. An audible pop accompanies its disappearance as air rushes in to fill the place where it existed, and Kanadu's head snaps around at the noise. He rushes over, followed closely by his partner. What happened here? What did you do? His hand snaps out faster than you'd believe possible and snatches your collar. Where did the Numenera go? Just wait for the screaming. Let's not be hasty, Kanadu. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for this. He shoots you a look measured and full of meaning. I would hope that our friend here can provide it. I released it. No. I didn't see what happened. You didn't see, even though you were standing right there, even though you've been mooning around the cage. You'll have a hard time convincing anyone of that. That's right, I didn't see anything. Be that as it may, someone figured out a way to release an incredibly dangerous creature. I can only hope that someone has an idea where he's gone, because our former guest is a creature of pure destruction, and someone just let him go. I only hope there aren't any innocents near his destination, because that spilt blood is now someone's fault. He turns a despairing gaze toward his partner. The cage can't hold an Numenera, it can't hold a god. Decades of work, centuries, for nothing. He just looks at you and shakes his head in disgust. You're no explorer, you're an adventurer, too stupid to realize when something should be left alone. So you keep poking and prodding, and suddenly you're surprised when it explodes in your face. Your type never lasts long, especially when you don't see anything. His voice becomes a sneer as he mimics you. Stupid? I'm not the one who brought the creature into a populated area. Yeah, I think we said nothing. You just discovered a weakness in the cage. That's good news. The glaive is too angry to speak, but his partner nods at you and places a hand on his friend's shoulder. Yes, get that blue tide energy. It's not so bad as all that, Kanadu. At least we've learned something. Exposed a weakness, yes? Even if it's not quite the way we wanted to find out, perhaps we owe something of gratitude. He laughs, but maybe that gratitude comes with time. Right now I'm furious. The two of them begin packing their gear, wordlessly and efficiently. El Jinto weighs the coin purse and shakes his head when Kanadu looks at him. As the two pass you, Kanadu looks like he's about to add something. He thinks better of it, laughs to himself, and spits at your feet as they pass by. Okay. Now that we've unleashed a horrible beast, let's go down and play with it. This is a terrible idea. There we go. See, I'm hoping it will help me out with the things in there. We'll see. How you doing, buddy? Yep, you're down there. Okay, yeah. Probably too big to fit in there. We'll figure it out.
Ready.
I don't want to fight it.
Yes. Now.
So there it is. At the end of the platform, the ephemeron hangs lazily in the air. As you draw nearer, the creature tenses, orienting itself in your direction. Its tentacles lash back and forth in mindless rage.
All right.
I mean, we'd have to attack it then to lure it in here, right?
Yeah, that's something I could do.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't think we have enough viable constructs. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and reload because it doesn't seem to... Yeah. It only leads to a fight, and it's not going to be terribly helpful. I would rather free it and have a way of communicating with it first. We don't seem to have that yet. So let's not do that. Instead, it was interesting to see what happens, though. Yeah, let's go ahead and deal with this, the bits of thievery here. I mean, well, thievery? What? Assassination, that's the word I'm looking for. We should deal with the assassin. Yeah. Although, let me see here. Yeah, actually, there is one thing I kind of want to look at first. One more time. Try checking out the bar and seeing if there's anything that I was missing, because it felt like there's a possibility for one other thing to do here, but we'll see.
I think that's best.
I don't, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
Of course.
Let us make certain that we have exhausted all of our options here. Yeah, I'm gonna actually... Whoa. Gonna save over this. Okay. No, that tree is dealt with. Talking to him, I'd actually have to be more
Yes.
convincing than I have bandwidth for. I'd have to be more convincing, which is, to be fair, I have an item that'll do that. Ah, and now we have a cloak. Very ethereal cloak. Okay. I'm carrying 3 of these things. Wait, what's the what was the item that is supposed to make me hyper convincing? Charm paste. So, active until next sleep. I mean, that's a thing. If I use it and then attempt to persuade the dude to let the thing into my head, because of course that's what we want, right? More problems up there. The horrible words. Yeah. Let's do 1 or 2 other things
Sure
before
is
we try
safe.
that. Talking about the chancy drinks again. This is a terrible idea. I keep saying that a lot. Concentrates bottle floats over to... Really? On your own head, I suppose. Okay. Fluid spills into the bottle and you hear it hiss. The bottle floats to you and you can see the liquid inside is thin and oily. It smells like talc, the infectious runoff from a pairing between flesh and machine. Smells like a trash-eating leak, gorged itself on rotten fruit and lost control of its mouth. Content warning! You hold your nose and down it. And we're dazed. Are we dying again? Say what you will about the smell, the drink packs a powerful wall. If you lose control of your motor functions and stagger briefly, colors flash across your eyes, and for a moment, everything becomes unbearably funny just before a wave of utter sadness wipes all thoughts of laughter from your mind. On its heels come rage, lust, all the emotions of the human condition, condensed into a perfect jewel-like moment. Then it shatters. You're lying on the floor in a pool of your own vomit. And we are dazed until the next time the party sleeps. Okay. Oh, that was fun. Let's try something else. This is one of the reasons why I save the game as often as I do. Not the right name, but who cares? pink sledge. He raises an eyebrow, heavy glass veers over to the tap. The tap opens, filling the glass with an effervescent pink slop, and the glass drifts over to you. Variac dusts off his hands theatrically, though they never touched your glass. He grins. Drink carefully, don't overdo. But you have already quaffed it. It is thick and flavorless, but its effects are fast-acting. Your muscles seize, including your heart. Death snatches you so abruptly that you hardly notice the transition. We're gonna back in the labyrinth, aren't we? Hey, how you doing? Did you try to steer earlier, Spectre? So we know what the pink sledge does. Trial and error. I'll try the Black Acre. He shudders. I tasted the stuff once. I don't remember much about the time afterward, but I was raving about holes in reality. Well, here's your drink. A strong glass bowl floats under a pipe. A spigot turns, and the ichor oozes from it. You can smell it from here. The bowl floats back to you, all without Feriac touching it. Drink fast is my advice. He winks. You put the word to deed. The taste is not unpleasant, though the texture is horrifying. Unbidden, you think of soft flesh rotting under a jungle sun. Nothing happens. At least not right away, just as you begin to doubt the ichor's efficacy. You feel the earth shift slightly. The walls shiver and begin to shake. Their surfaces look as if they are slowly melting. You feel the weight of the ceiling and sky forcing you to the floor, and only a great effort of will keeps you standing. Rents begin to appear in the flat surfaces of the bar, in the walls. Scabrous tissue rims their edges, and a deathly chorus pipes through in a register almost too high to hear. The world tilts on its axis, and you stagger to the right. Your vision blurs, and the invisible world swims into view, becoming more solid than the world you call home. This might be interesting. Home. Yes? Oh, yeah. Now. Can we see better who's what? Is that the effect of this? Figure out where this purple ribbon is telling us to go. It's not really helping us much.
I'm ready.
Is that supposed to mean something?
Yeah, that's something I could do. Alright, here I go.
Who are you again? I'm just trying to determine if doing this while high changes anything. Totally alien. Horrifying rapacious. More powerful than you imagined. More of their streamers snaked, though. I don't know if we would have survived as long as we were here. Okay. So I fight the adversaries or I can run. what you think the adversaries are again. What I know, or what I think I know that each manifestation is only a small part of a larger being. What I think I know is the only one adversary exists is becoming aware of us. As a team, we trained us with a train spotter, twister of metaphor, a seer of focus, and whoever else we can throw at it. We don't do it alone. If you plan to do it yourself, share the idea space with it. Plant metaphors reminiscent of your labyrinth. Turn the language that way. When you've got the tendril trapped, close your mind and use the terrain to your advantage. This is so strange. Yeah, I mean, this is all it's giving us, really.
All right.
So when we come to the center of the, when we come here, right? This ribbon shows up, and I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the adversary.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Naturally.
I mean, could be Clarion?
Yes.
Is this going to continue if we go outside? No, it will not. Okay. So that was kind of interesting. I don't think it really did much aside from losing us some shins, though. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to grab some of the cheaper drinks. Because that's all I think I have left that I can do here. We ran through all of the different possible candidates for who the adversary could be. And this is the only thing that I haven't done in here. Okay. Glasses and cups float through the air without his touch, moving with precision to the spigots on the walls. One settles before you. You drink it. The dark and foaming beverage has no flavor you can name. If you could name the sound of the night, with instinct softly humming their mating songs, nighthawks cruising the low thermals, and laughter from a nearby house in the woods, it would be this taste. It fills you with nostalgia for no reason you can name. Well, that's that. That's it. Although, wait a minute, these pipes... I wonder what's right under here.
Now.
That is a worthy question, yes? So there are a few different places we can go. Let me actually also talk to Loss of Self and see if they're doing any better, because if they are, that means that turning off the machine was helpful. She embraces you as fiercely as a child, then blushes and pulls away. She's gone! The damn woman in my head is gone and my memories are coming back. What did you do? The machine under the city was the source of the voices. I turned it off. Don't worry about that. All that matters is you're getting better. No, she breathes, pale and delighted. I thought it was a dream, but I saw you. You went into a hole in the ground, and I heard the sound of gears grinding down. She clasps your wrist with cold hands. Thank you so much. Silvertide went up. I can almost remember my name now. Oh, good. Can you extend the bridge, please? So good to see you again. She says, beaming at you. All traces of her former anguish are gone. Are you feeling better? Yes, she says, rubbing her eyes. I haven't heard the voice again. You can't imagine how good it is to stand here, talking to you without hearing her whispers under every thought. She trails off, giving you a rueful smile. My head hurts now, but it will pass, I hope. Alright. That's all we've got. Now, Avina is also, similarly, in this chain of people. This endless chain of people. Yeah, that's all that old stuff. Yeah, I'll have to figure this out. Okay. Well, let's go down. Down here. I wonder... Yeah, so you're getting thoughts. Thoughts are dangerous. You shouldn't have those. Right.
Yes.
Let's go down there. We need to have a chat with them down at the Dendro before we turn anybody in. I think we're gonna have to travel to that other ledge by Stika.
Let's go.
Someone tells you to take care of unfinished business before leaving the location. Huh. I'll get a chance again.
All right.
So before we point the finger at someone here, let's have a little chat with Kiatawa. She doesn't spare words on you this time. She merely nods, wary gaze cataloging the position of everyone in the room. I want to know more about you. That's funny. I found the source of the voice in your head. You shouldn't hear her anymore. You're right, she says. Her eyes fairly glow with a calm and satisfied light. I don't, thank you. I will remember that you helped me. I know who I am now. I know what I have been these last days. That's good, because now we need to... Because... There's something else we need to talk about. A merchant in Circus Minor said they spotted you staggering around and talking about hollow circles. Is that right? She says, scratching the back of her neck. Doesn't sound familiar, but maybe I was drunk. It's these voices, memories. I know myself even less than I did before. Oh, that was what it was. Yeah. You sure you've never heard of the Children of the Endless Gate before? Alright, I'm talking about the murder. I think... Yeah, the problem is, I think she did it, but she was not in control of herself when she did.
All right,
that's the problem.
Here I go.
This is going to be tricky. Oh dear, I was hoping it's all over now. think I know who the murderer is. Ah, he says, looking comfortable. Good. Were this decades ago, I would handle the investigation myself, but I am perhaps a little past my prime. He drops his voice to a whisper. His breath is sour, and a wild light dances in the deep places of his eyes. Bring your suspicions to Folsom. He will take the correct actions. He always does. The problem is that I don't know if, I mean, like, I have figured this out, but I do not know if he has figured this out. That's the problem. So if I go to, Folsom, what's he gonna say, right? Is he just gonna say,
I think that's best.
it's Kiyatawa, or is he?
Of course.
Is there more going on? It's a problem. I think she was there when it happened. I don't know if she actually did it or not. Yeah, I mean, it might be a little early to point the finger. That's the only problem. Very tricky. Maybe these pipes look familiar. These lead up to the wrong places. No. Okay.
It's a plan.
Paranoia. Okay. Let's see if we can, Underbelly. Murder. Might want to talk to Matkina before, actually. That might be a possibility. Let's see. Unblinking, unmoving, the huge man waits for you to approach. Cocked eyebrow gives you permission to speak. Ah, there are more things to talk to him about. Vito says he was with you when the first murder occurred. Is this true? Yes, Folsom says. He does not elaborate. Discovered that the children of the Endless Gate may be involved in Weedle's murder. Interesting. Vito told me the group had been crushed long ago. I would count it a favor if you continued your investigation. Speak with Vito and his acolytes. Tell me if you believe one of them is responsible. Vito called the sect an infection once. Perhaps they have relapsed. I know who the murderer is. This is not good. Do you? He says, a gleam in his eyes. Tell me. I don't want to sell her out. But it's the young woman Kiyatawa. Interesting, he says. A quiet woman, somewhat fragile. I have sensed instability in her, but not the aptitude for violence. I'll be interested to learn what my people can extract from her. Oh, boy. He signals to his bodyguards. They slip from his side and flit toward the Dendro Chapel at a flat run. Sometime later, the bodyguards race back to Folsom's side. One of them whispers in his ear and nods. Kiyatawa's already gone, he says. She must have suspected you were close to proving her guilt. At least she has fled, and I doubt she'll return. He growls deep in his throat. If you ever see her again, feel free to do the same thing to her that she did to my people. He gestures to one of his bodyguards, and she hastens forward with your reward. Folsom looks away. Interesting. Okay. Farewell, godling. You want to talk anymore? Surprised to see you again. You've named our murderer and justice is done. Do we have other business to discuss? I'll find her, I promise you. I don't know, maybe.
All right.
The after murder party. I mean, I'm just curious what happens if you say this. Indigo tide. Good, he says. Then his broad shoulders sag. But the dead will remain dead. Farewell. Indigo tide went up. That was just a way to get the indigo tide up. Eh. I don't know, do we want our indigo tied up? That's the question, right? I don't know if making that promise is something we should do. I don't like making promises as a rule. Just as these things. Yeah, to anyone! No one! It's very difficult. The red tide represents passion, emotion, action, and zeal. It's the tide of people. It is the tide of people whose goal it is to live them in the moment, to experience life to its fullest, or to follow their heart wherever it ends the dialogue before you finish reading it. We'll see.
I'm going.
Okay, so just checking this out here. Out of curiosity, where are we shin-wise? 11:28. That's nice. Let's go ahead and make sure we actually put the cloak on. There we go. Not so much anymore. So, the question is, do we want to tackle this situation with Matkina before we take care of these other side things that are going on? I mean, the only thing that I have left that I think I can do is to return to the bar, take that concoction, what is it, the paste, the charm paste, and then convince the guy to let the words into my head, and that'll at least change things there. Though I'm not sure, how much or to what extent. It's a good question. How's everybody doing? No, just the same questions. And I mean, there's also the thing where we can talk to, the captain of the guard, and just to let her know that we've eliminated that, we've turned off the machine. That would probably be helpful to her. Perhaps enough for her to use her influence. I don't know. So that could be a thing toward dealing with that one situation. We'll do this. So, getting once more on the Stickus Express. Looking for the Cave of Last Words. Can you bring me to the ledge and cliff's edge? That would be interesting. Yes, glad to transport friend to people is free. I know, I'm looking at all the side things before I look at the main one. Okay, here we are. Doesn't say where it leads, but...
All right.
At least we can figure out what this is. There are eggs. The creature that laid these eggs must be truly formidable. I cannot remember why I wanted to go down here. Maybe it will remind me. Cliff's edge. It's really the cliff's edge ledge. Apparently we can loot it. So leave the machine alone. Hang on. Let me move something around real quick. Yeah. Would one of you like to hold on to a cipher for me? Oh, that's powerful. Okay. Just, you know, we don't have to worry about the ciphers draining him if we find another cipher. An ovoid opening lined with a metallic wire mesh dominates the front of the device, and through it you catch the faintest glimpse of a swirling liquid. Atop the machine rests a dome of translucent material and a brilliantly lit sphere. Okay, we'll examine the wire mesh. The mesh appears to prohibit direct contact with the fluid jostling around the device's interior. Curiosity must have gotten the better of someone, however, as a line has been sliced cleanly through the bottom of the mesh. The opening created by the slash appears roughly large enough to reach an arm into it. Examine the dome. On closer inspection, you notice the dome contains what appears to be a human brain, but it's several times larger than a normal brain. It floats serenely within the enclosure, pulsing occasionally, but you can find no way to interact with it. Examine the sphere. The glowing sphere appears solidly attached to the rest of the machine. The light dims as you move your hands close to it. You spend a few moments moving your hand around the sphere, and eventually you discover that its light seems to dim as your hand gets closer to a fixed point directly in front of it. Okay. That seems the safest thing to do first. Yeah. The sphere's light dims, then brightens again as your hand completes the motion. From within the machine, you hear the strangled sound of evacuating liquid. The constant humming sound of the machine is stopped. The sphere's light dims and brightens as usual, but other than a dry clicking sound, nothing else occurs. Tap the dome. You lightly knock on the dome, triggering a minor convulsion from the brain within. A swishing sound erupts from the interior of the device, and it resumes its former rhythmic hum. Your hand splashes into an oily fluid as you plunge it through the hole in the mesh. As you probe around the interior, you momentarily feel something solid brush against your hand. You blindly grope for the object, but it proves quite difficult to grab. We're gonna try to grab it. Starting at 0. What about you? Starting at 0. What about you? Starting at 35. That's not too bad. What about you? Starting at 30. Okay. We're gonna try to get you in on this. 75's not terrible, but not enough. The object continues to elude you. You come close a few times, but it always slips away from your grasp before you can remove it from the pool of liquid. Alright. Let her do it. She got it. After a few near misses, you manage to get a firm grip on the object and remove it from the machine. Ring of El Emor. What is that? Confers, cancels the next negative fettle applied to this character and deals 5 chemical damage to the attacker. Okay, cancels the next negative fettle applied to this character, excludes flanked, and lasting damage and deals 5 chemical damage to the attacker. The serpentine ring seems like a small, thin snake wrapping itself thrice around an invisible finger. Its head features 2 indigo jewels, for eyes that look like trapped lightning and a gaping mouth with 2 sharp fangs bared to strike. The ring protects the wearer by absorbing any status effect from the bloodstream and converting it into a weapon, a blood needle that can be shot at any living creature. Interesting. Not gonna use it right now, but glad it's there. Okay, well, that's that. Unfortunately, that does not get us up here, which would be nice, wherever this is. Oh, you know what? Something that is interesting, though.
Now.
Where these pipes go, right? I mean, one comes out here, so there's a possibility this was affecting it somehow.
All right.
I guess? An axe! Quick Eye's axe. Legends tell of young Kell, who found this axe in its original shape. Powered this axe's blade is covered in a thin layer of extraordinarily sharp ice that bites into deep foes. Okay. It's an artifact. Holy crap. His belief was that the device would finally allow his vengeance on the fire wights of Ossifagan. He refashioned the material into a blade and fastened it to a pole, etching into its characters, written in a tongue no other could decipher. Etching into it characters written in a tongue no other could decipher. There we go. English, Jim. Even this mighty weapon could not stand against the fire wights, but it has served in many battles since, deadly against all other foes. Interesting. And 58 shins. Take all. Cool. Who has what right now? Right now I'm carrying this sting charge, which probably this is a heavy melee weapon. I don't think anyone here can use that. Interesting. Okay. If I was playing a glaive, we could, but I cannot. Okay. Hey, what up? I'd like to do more things now. Okay, let's do this. Cave of Last Words. He's close to surface at top of city. The creature pauses. Took another human there once. Ah! You can't travel where egg friend want, we go. Yes. The blue tide represents wisdom, enlightenment, and mysticism. It is the tide of people who can read faster than I can. Ah, there we go. We've been looking for you. I can't remember why, but I'm sure it'll come out in dialogue in a moment. This woman's skin is white, the color of alabaster or fresh ivory. Flat black eyes surrounded by sharply pointed features stare coldly at you. She wears jet black hair cut straight at the shoulders. Her clothes are functional and drab. Her cloak is fastened by a necklace of 5 canisters, each of a different shape. She turns a black device over and over in her hands.
Where did you come from? How did you know where to find me?
Dialogue. Her startled expression becomes a dark glower. A keen blade flickers through her fingers. You're sure it wasn't there a moment ago? Did I invite him here? No, I wouldn't have done that. Hmm? Allegrin mutters, I think she and Castellage would get along just fine. Is it really important to know how I found you? I followed your trail. Mapper told me where to find you. I mean, honestly. That is what happened. Are we not supposed to sell him out? Skist. Thought I'd covered it. Thought I'd covered my tracks. Thought, fine. You wanted to find me? You found me. More's the pity. So now it's time to talk. Wait, are you asking the questions here, or am I? Silvertide raised a tiny amount. She glances at your tattoo. How new are you? What were the circumstances of your birth? When did you happen? I was born as my body fell from an exploding moon. Was born recently in the Broken Dome down in the Reef of Fallen Worlds. I mean, this is kind of the truth. Ha! The bastard of a creator always finds a way to abandon us at the worst possible moment. Have you heard the stories of Tuck or Inifir yet? You should. No, I have not. I don't think. What of them? She points at her chin and your companions. If you think you can overpower me with mortals, you're mistaken. Sounds just like her father. Aha! What did you say? You're trespassing in my home, you know. Coming with a cast-off makes you more suspicious, not the other way around. Any friend of mine won't hurt you unless I tell them to. Don't give me a reason. Trust me, we mean no harm. I'm going to try to do that. I don't trust you, that's the problem. But fine. She flicks her hand and the knife disappears. Disemboweling you would just be a waste of time for me anyway. She turns back to her workbench and picks up the device again. Then she spits on the floor and scuffs it with her boot, all nervous energy. So what do you want from me? Well, this is what we want, really. I heard you might know who can repair a device I found in the reef, something called a resonance chamber. The resonance. A glint of understanding shines in her eyes. Ah, yes, of course he would have hid it there. A crooked grin plays about the corner of her mouth and then vanishes. I know who can help you, or did. She shakes her head. It slips away. My mind has holes in it. One of our brothers took a rusty scalpel to my thoughts, my memories. I can't. She trails off. She catches a hold of the table, and it seems to anchor her. Her eyes harden.
I'll remember that.
No, you must do something for me. She caresses the black and jagged device, knobbed and protruding with antenna. A sigil reminiscent of your tattoo is emblazoned on it. This is Tash's Mirrorcaster. I want you to enter his mirror and find out what you can about the Jack. What? I'm convinced. The Jack? I'm convinced that's the key. Okay, just a few excellent, I'd be happy to do that. Just a few questions. What's a Mirrorcaster? Ha! Am I really the first one to say the word to you? Oh, you're in for a surprise, dear brother. Every cast-off has one, just like every cast-off has this. She taps the tattoo on your head. No one knows what they're for. Adiris used to think they were a byproduct of the transfer process, just like us. She seems lost in the thought for a moment. Then she shakes her head. Wherever they came from, they can be used like a kind of temporal viewer. You relive an event in the life of the cast-off, whose Mirrorcaster it is. That event is called a mirror. What's a Mirrorcaster again? Can a Mirrorcaster be used to spy on other cast-offs? Not spy, more like seeing pictures of their past. Like watching them from inside their minds at times when they burned or raged or changed. When their life was at a moment of flux. Ah, interesting. Okay. Why can't you enter the mirror? Don't you think I've tried? She snarls with sudden rage, her knife a handspan from your neck. Do you think I would waste my time with a newborn, a thief who steals into my home, if there were any chance I could do this myself? Her shoulders heave up and down with each angry breath. I try, and my mind fills with static, like I'm talking to a Murden. Only it slashes and stabs and burns me, and I can't. It'll only make things worse. Maybe it has already. She blinks then, confused. Why am I angry? Did you? She straightens, flipping the knife back into her cloak. No, it'll be alright. Just find the damn Jack, and I'll tell you whatever you need to know. What's a Jack? You don't know? I thought it was a common instrument. No, it might not be so much anymore. One of the curses of a long life. She laughs raggedly. Fashions come and go before you even know they exist. Probably easier just to let them go or make new ones of your own, like some of the other cast-offs. Sorry, no, not sorry. You should know this. You should know about things. History, that's what life is, knowing and doing. Matkina, you need to focus. Tell him what he needs. She breathes deeply. A Jacques is an ancient woodwind, and this one was kept in a sealed cave behind massive doors from a prior world. It had powers, but I can't remember what those powers were. If the Jacques is a key, what does it unlock? Her brow furrows, confused for a moment. She curses. If I knew that, I wouldn't need your help, would I? She lets out a long sigh. You stole that memory from me, all right? If you can find it for me, it will all come back. All of it. How do I enter a mirror? An almost palpable hunger fills her eyes, a yearning. Hold the mirror caster. You'll feel the tug immediately. Don't resist. Empty your mind and let the tides pull you into the mirror caster. She collects herself. Then just watch him. Watch for the Jacques. When you see what he's done with it, pull your mind away from Tash's and tell me what you saw. Oh, and don't try to change anything, she says almost as an afterthought. Why shouldn't I try to change anything in the mirror? What did you mean by that? Nothing serious. Nothing serious, she says it as though speaking to an overly concerned child. She laughs suddenly. It's not like you can change the past. But I need you to learn a specific piece of information. If you change something, then you might go the wrong way. Alright, I'll do it. She plucks Tasha's Mirrorcaster from the table. She looks at it, at you, and back at the device. She licks her lips as if weighing her options, and then, before she can hesitate anymore, she slaps it into your hands. It's surprisingly heavy. Do it, she says, her voice heavy. Find the Jacques. Bring me my answers. You focus on the device, and you feel something tugging at your mind. Oh, we're doing it now! I guess we're doing this. Everything is wrong. Oh my god. Maybe we should have had more points available to us before we started this. It's like a mini game. Hang on. Okay, everything is wrong. Tasha's body, yours now, clings like a wet cloak. The world is too bright for nighttime. Everything is too clear, distances too close, edges too sharp. Memories like blood flies buzz about your head, whizzing away before you can catch them. Hard-ridden Anine heave their flanks and huff behind you. Like you, they've gone too long without rest. And there's Matkina, a much newer Matkina, as drawn by a pandering portraitist. Too soft, too fresh, too pretty. All wrong. On the wastes, you see the light of campfires, and in the humble village before you, a bigger, brighter fire burns. Here we go. It's a pyre. Inside, a body that's too large burns too slowly. Greasy coils of smoke rise into the night. Villagers circle the bonfire, wailing and shaking. The headman's rough voice continues the ritual. From exile you are released. Among the mourners, some echo, you are released. He throws a handful of powder into the fire, metal salts, perhaps, and a spray of shining embers rises into the night, mostly gold, some green, some purple. From wrath you are released, they echo him. As the embers float out toward the plains and fade among the stars and campfires, you hear Matkina whisper reverently, you are released. Don't change anything. But we will stare at the distant campfires. You squint your unnatural eyes and focus until the pyre, the village, everything else fades away. At last, the blurry campfires resolve into something crisper, and you see the faint shadows of men around them. Men in long coats and broad hats, painstakingly cleaning their jezzails and daggers. There are perhaps 100 of them. Matkina sees you staring and grunts. Sand Knights. From her tone, it's obvious they're no friend of hers or yours. I guess we are waiting until the ritual is finished. We're not supposed to change anything, and if we do one of these three things, we're going to change something. As the body burns in the mourner's chant, you wait in the shadows at the edge of the village. At last, the corpse is consumed, and the headman gives a final cry. To the distant dark you are released. The villagers echo him, then drift away, leaving him alone beside the smoldering pyre. Matkina, with a hiss and a gesture, leads you over. He sniffs the air at the sound of your approach, and with a broad smile calls out, Kina! His eyes are large, milky marbles. He puts hands on her shoulders. You return in unpleasant times. She touches his cheek. I return because the times are unpleasant, Ning. Without another word, the three of you leave from the fire and enter Ning's dark hut. Ning's home is humble and small, hardly furnished and wholly undecorated. On entering, he lowers his weary bulk onto a hassock and gestures toward similar cushions for you and Matkina, then begins without preamble. They hung him from a tree. Old Gareb took their daggers to him, called it pruning. Blind to others' expressions, he has become oblivious to his own, and he wears his pain and anger nakedly. With a grunt, he continues. They sent him home by skimmer, along with the compact they'd made to the plains people. He waves at the crumpled sheet of paper on the floor. Take credit to me. Okay. Interesting. They've promised to put an end to our menace, Kina. He shakes his head. Why? We've always paid the blood price for whatever harm we've done. You know that. They know that. Yes, Matkina says softly, but the Sand Knights won't take shins. You know that. He grunts. The militia is here to help, Neng. Oh no, the militia is here to help, Neng. You are who we stand for, the small, the threatened, the hunted. That's who we are. That's who we are, too. I can't read today. She shakes his hand. She takes his hand. I can't read. Come away. If you tell the knights you're going, they won't force a fight. They have bigger battles ahead of them, believe me. This is our place, Kina. Paj Reckon will give you a home. Trust her. Neng is silent. What happened to your eyes? Read the crumpled note. Intimidation. Forget about trust. The world is full of places, Neng. The still is yours. Nothing's right. I think I'm okay probably doing things where I observe, but if I change anything, there will be problems. You unfold the compact sent by the Sand Knights. The writing is neat, plain, small, and seems to go on in tightly stacked lines. In essence, it is a vow to safeguard the villages and towns of the Vershulian Waste from the menace in Koln village. The knights promise that they will undertake steps to assure that the killers in Koln village never harm anyone again. Extermination is never mentioned, merely implied. Beneath the Knight Marshal's chop are signatures from various burghers, mayors, and elders of towns and villages on the waste. The knights ask nothing in return from them. The signatures vow nothing. They merely endorse, justifying whatever the knights undertake. Ah, great. I'm going to say nothing. Because I don't know what the dude did here, right? Matkina glances you in frustration, clearly expecting you to help her make the pitch. Listen to me, Neng. Pajrekin has set aside land for all of you. Deep inside our territory, you'll be safe. It's not so simple. It's not so simple, he answers. Not so easy. Plains people cannot understand. Matkina hisses in frustration and gives you another look. It seems she is hoping you can move the stubborn old fool. Okay, well. He's your friend. Persuade him. What is it that we can't understand? For a long moment, Neng turns his blind gaze back and forth between you and Matkina. What it means to be a hill person, he says at last. What it's like to wrap yourself in chains every day, he sighs. But maybe I'm an old fool. You're not the Kina who left, and you, stranger, he trails off, you're soldiers. Maybe you've started to understand what it's like to hold yourself back. Matkina's answer is sharp. Nang, all my life I've had to restrain myself, but not in the militia. It's freedom, Nang. The freedom of knowing that what you're doing is right, and so you don't need to hold back. The old man shrugs. And I was right. You can't understand. I mean, the problem is that I don't know what happened. And maybe that was it in the dialogue just a moment ago? I don't know. The dialogue beforehand? I don't know. Matkina didn't remember either, did she? Ow. Yay. Yay, pain. Okay. He's your friend, you persuade him. I think there are 110 knights camped a few hours ride from here. You need to make a decision. I'll do that at least. Nang nods slowly. You're right, of course. Even if you've got the manners of a Margar marauder. After a minute, he turns his blind eyes to Matkina. But we can't go without the Jack. The what? Matkina asks. There we go. Up the hill behind the gate. The cave's been sealed for generations. Inside is the Jack. The Jack. It's what helps us keep our worst instincts inside. If we leave it song... He trails off, gesturing to the pyre outside. After a pause, he leans in, whispers in Matkina's ear. Now, he says, you alone of the plains people know how to open the gate. Oh, great! You work your way up the terraced hillside. There we go. Up the terraced hillside, leaving Nang to make his case to his people. In the distance, you see that the Sand Knights are on the move, riding hard toward Koln village. Nang will need to make his case to them, too. When you arrive at the cave and its huge ancient gateway, Matkina shakes her head. For years I wondered about this. She says, the hill people tell a fable that the first men and women came out of here. They said the gate would only open when it was time for people to disappear. She shrugs. One way to keep kids from poking around and disturbing the Jacques, I guess. Something she said stirs your mind and your memories jingle like a wind chime. Because, like, if I pull up the memory, am I going to miss seeing what she does to open the freaking thing? Ah! I gotta know. I've gotta know. Yes. At once, a glaring light shines over your mission, as painful as it is revealing. You're not here to help Pajrekan save Koln village. You're here to help Paj destroy it. She knew the villagers' secret, knew about the Jacques. Most importantly, she knew the Sand Knights would come, knew about their compact. The plan isn't to take the villagers out of the Knights' way. In fact, it depends on causing the very battle Matkina promised would be averted. When the Knights arrive, Paj will destroy the Jacques, forcing the hill people into their feral state, unleashing them upon the Knights, weakening one of the malicious forces. And Paj is coming in person to see that it goes right. I mean, I'd like to know what the hill people are, but I have a feeling that's going to cause issues. I can't change anything, though. That's the thing. This has already happened. But sure, let's ask what the hill people are. My family. Matkina sighs and taps her foot impatiently. Impatient with herself, it seems, because she soon rushes forward. A neon priest named them Teratomorphs, but they don't use that name or any other. They've lived here on this hill for ages. They protect any plains people who sought shelter in Colne Village. She swallows, closes her eyes, makes a decision. They're not human. Sometimes they change, go wild. Usually it happens to the young, the old. People in other villages call it skin changing. And they call the hill people monsters. She shakes her head. It passes and they change back, but sometimes they leave the village and never turn back. They lose control, people get hurt. With a protective edge in her voice, she finishes. Family. That's what they are. Family. People. After you. Matkina shrugs and quickly disarms the dozen ancient locks that have long kept the cavern sealed. With a gasp, the gate opens, and without waiting, she steps through. You follow. What you find within is no cave tunnel. In fact, there's no stone at all. Rather, it's a smooth hallway made of greenish phosphorescent ceramic. Under its glow, you and Matkina take on the look of the unburied dead. There seems to be no side passages. No chambers. Merely a single path that curls ever inward, like you are in the shell of some great nautilus. From time to time, the walls are adorned with lifeless ciphers, arcane charts, even scorch marks as if from a struggle. They tell no tale for you to hear. At last you reach the tunnel's end, and there on a pedestal before you is what must be the Jacques, a kind of reed flute that plays an endless, formless song, at once almost too faint to hear and too haunting to bear. Whether the music is caused by the breeze blowing through the tunnel or by the Jacques itself is impossible to determine. The ceramic pedestal beneath it, alone of all the devices in the cave, still pulses with living energy. That energy causes the Jacques to float a fraction of an inch in the air. It doesn't rest on pedestal so much as hang above it. So, says Matkina, here it is. Grab it! I mean, that's the question, right? We're bringing it back? That's the part I'm not too clear on. Do I grab it from here and bring it back? Or am I just finding out where it is? Well, the Jacques and the wistful, wind-blown notes in what you came for. It is the pedestal that draws your attention first. Hidden within, some secret mechanism holds the Jacques aloft, untouched and motionless. As for the Jacques, you get the sense that there is more than the music to mere wind over pipes. Not just tones beyond your hearing range, but that perhaps forces beyond sound itself, a deeper harmony that resonates in more than the tiny bones of the inner ear. Not just tones beyond, but that perhaps forces beyond sound itself. What? That perhaps forces beyond sound itself, a deeper harmony. Okay. What do you think this place is? It could be anything. You're the one who always says a person will go crazy trying to understand the world. But from the way she holds a little breath in as she ends the sentence, it's clear that she can't stop there. Crazy or not, she wants a meaning to it. I think the hill people must have come from here, she says, or maybe come through here. She shrugs again. But we're not here to find answers, we're here to get that. She points at the Jacques. Guess which one of us took it? That's the question, right? The trouble is, I have to make a decision. Are you going to take it? Matkina shoots you a look as sharp as her knives, then steps forward to the pedestal. She sizes it up for a moment, then darts her hand in to grab the Jacques. The grace and speed of the motion is uncanny, but not enough. The instant her hand passes over the pedestal, energy laces upward, convulsing her body. For a moment, she's paralyzed, and so are you by the sight of it. And then her face racked pain and determination, she forces herself free. She falls to the floor, smoking, groaning, but alive, the Jacques still clutched in her blistered grip. Pushing herself to her feet, she mutters, "Thanks for the help, Tash." She gestures back the way you came. Let's go. They're waiting for you at the gate. A woman you immediately know to be Paj Reckon and her bodyguard, a half-dozen tattooed castoffs with drab armor, mismatched weapons, and the languid readiness of predators. Past them in the village below, you see the Sand Knights have arrived and are meeting with Nang and the villagers. Without warning, one of the bodyguards lowers his weapon at Matkina and fires, but she's already moving and takes a glancing blow. A knife is in her hand as another glaive aims a new device. Before Matkina can fling her blade, she's frozen, trapped in shimmering energy. Paj herself aims a tiny cipher at the Jacques. The others watch, paying you little mind. I mean... that's the problem here, right? I'm supposed to do nothing? I don't know. Yeah, what are you doing? As you try to speak, Paj raises her empty hand, and such is the force of her will that you fall silent. Without pausing, she activates the cipher she's holding in her other hand, and a thin beam shoots forth. The Jacques simply disintegrates. In the village, chaos explodes. Where once Nang and his hill people stood, there's now a writhing mass of tentacled things which fall upon the Sand Knights. Caught off guard, a dozen knights die instantly. Others open fire. Inside the energy field, Matkina trembles with rage, her burning eyes flicking between you and Paj. Paj sighs. "This is an unfair way to reward friends," Paj says, "but one must secure victory and make amends later." She points to the slaughter below. "Those Sand Knights are irreplaceable. With a single stroke, we've shifted the balance of power in the Virgilian wastes, and loosened our enemy's iron grip from 24 villages. You've served the militia well." What have you done? I was wondering when you'd show up. Let Matkina go. Now what? Now what? Now you wipe Matkina's mind, we release her, and see if she finds her way home to us, where she belongs. That should be within your power, within Tasha's power anyway. When the tides surge through him, he can destroy memories, the same way you use the tides to escape the sorrow in your mind. But for all you've become accustomed to wearing his body, you feel no special attunement to the tides, no sense of power over others' memories. In fact, within this mirror, you hardly feel the tides at all. Fine, I'll do it. Just throw her off the cliff. Believe me, you don't want her alive after this. Matkina might survive the fall inside the shield. It's her best bet. Or try to wipe Matkina's memories, because that's what happened. Tidal affinity. You have no idea how to wield the tides as Tash would. It's not a power that resides in his body, which you've stolen, but in his essence, which you've shunted aside. You can only try to achieve the same result by guesswork. You focus your mind and gaze upon Matkina, willing a way to wipe her memories clean. Matkina meets your stare, and her eyes have a clarity and half-vacancy that you've seen, that Tash has seen before she kills. She's past anger now and come to cold revenge. But whatever wishes lie behind your gazes, nothing is happens. You cannot cause a tidal surge through the Mirrorcaster. You cannot wipe her memories. Paj looks at you impatiently. This is not the time for dallying or playing games, Tash. We need to leave before the Sand Knights finish with the villagers and turn their guns on us. I don't think I can. Fine, I'll do it. Just throw her off the cliff. Believe me, you don't want her alive after this. I guess this might be what happened. The trouble is, it's a divergence, right? Or a deception, fine, I'll do it, and then you don't actually do it. Such a good question. Oh, these are Anine in the background, I think. Anyway. Yeah. I guess we'll do this. It's either that or we lie and then pretend to do it and then it doesn't happen. Oh, man. Oh, is that what's going on there? Okay. I mean, this is when that happened, right? I guess I'll try to lie and say that I'll do it. Though you're not entirely sure how Tash has wielded the tides in the past, any bluff will need Matkina's help to work. You approach her and stand so that your faces would almost touch. But for the energy field between you, you close your eyes and contort your face with unexerted effort. Whether your pantomime is convincing or Page simply cannot contemplate such a bold ruse, it seems your trick is working. Whisper to Matkina to play along. Whether she reads your lips or intuits your intent, Matkina does her part. First she goes rigid and her face becomes a rictus of agony. Then she slumps as if drugged against the energy field. It bulges slightly to hold her upright. Good, says Page. Leave her. We'll see if our lost Tremulan returns to the flock. She turns to the battle in the village below. Neither side has the upper hand, and between the monstrous hill people and the cornered knights, no quarter is given and no effort is made to avoid collateral damage. It is carnage, no more, no less. It's time to go home, Page says. The airship awaits. She leads her bodyguards away, plainly expecting you to follow. Is there room for some of the villagers in the airship? No, just follow Page onto the airship. You stand with Page at the prow of the airship, looking down at the convulsing village. The Sand Knights, the 30 or so still standing, finally have the upper hand. They move in a defensive square, hurling burning brands into any building still standing, and unleashing a fusillade on whatever emerges. Only a few of the monstrous hill people still live, skulking in the smoke among the rubble. You can see them from your vantage. Perhaps they'll kill more Sand Knights before the battle's down. But whatever the final tally, it's clear that Colne Village is gone. On the hill, trapped for now in the energy field, is Matkina, her mind and life saved, her will for revenge unabated. Page's face is stoic as she looks down from the ship. Perhaps without your preternatural eyes, she can avoid seeing the individuals ground up by her gambit, and can only see a strategic point and the numbers it represents in the grand strategy. Or perhaps she has simply learned to set an example to her subordinates in the militia. She sees you staring at her and gives a small smile, a generous one, if it's real, devoid of irony or cruelty. I'm proud of you, she says, and then she walks away to her cabin to plan some new battle. As she does, Tasha's body slips away, his mind lets go of your own. You are falling through space once more, through space and time, falling homeward. Okay. So...
I'm ready to learn something.
As your consciousness rises from the shadow of the mirror, something clicks in your mind. Something has changed deep inside you. But what? Matkina stares at you, the shock painfully obvious on her face. What did you do? I remember Tash cutting me. I see the holes in my mind. I remember him forcing me to the ground, tearing out my history with his tides. But I have other memories now. They're real. Tash didn't do it. He could have, but he didn't. He saved me, boarded the vessel, and didn't touch me. Didn't violate me with his mind. But I remember him touching me. Her opinion is improved. She holds her head up in her hands, shaking, her voice becoming thick. The two strands of memory. This is pulling me apart. She looks up at you, tears streaming down her cheeks. No, it's pulling me back together. I remember now. That hole it's almost gone. You changed reality. You changed it. She stands, drying her tears with her sleeves. I don't know if you meant to do that, but you've done more than your part of the deal. You asked about the resonance chamber. I know it. Mezov's the guy you want. He can fix anything. He might have even helped design the chamber you're talking about. Your best bet is to look for him in the Castoff sanctuary, Mia Levest. There's a Castoff sanctuary? It's a sanctum, a refuge, created by the First and our sire. It's shielded from the sorrow, supposedly. She shrugs. Our siblings like to hide there until they can't stand each other's company anymore. Personally, I don't think anywhere is safe from the sorrow, not even that place. Great, where can I find the Mila Vest? Word of caution, they won't believe you in Mila Vest. They'll treat you like they treat every new Castoff, as a pawn in their games with each other. Look out for that. She walks through her table and unrolls a map of the Sagus Protectorate. You're not going to find it by walking there. The entrance is a secret known only to our kind. Here. She points to a spot on the map, many kilometers to the northeast of Sagus Cliffs. The Valley of Dead Heroes. There's a hidden portal in the necropolis. Also memorize this. She writes the numbers 3431, which I suppose we should write down, on a slip of paper, holds it in front of your eyes for several seconds, then crumples it in her hand. It's a code. It'll make sense when you get to the necropolis. 3431. All right. You'll need an airship to get to the valley. The ladder over there leads up to the caravanserai. You should be able to hire a ship without too much difficulty. Thank you. Can I ask some other questions? Fine. What do you want? What's the story with you and the other Castoffs? She gives you a long, slow look. You were in the mirror. You saw what happened. I wanted to make a difference, and they pissed on my hopes. After that debacle, I killed Tash and fell out with the rest of them. She frowns. The conflict between the First and the Changing God swallows all our siblings one way or another. I didn't want that. I wanted to make my own way. They weren't pleased, and here I am, no worse for the lack of their company. Who's the First? The first Castoff. She was, or she claimed to be. She's dead now. She said she'd fight for all of us. They say she was the one who founded Mila Vest for our sakes. Most of our siblings remember her as a hero. She spits in the corner. Most of them never actually knew her. She was driven, I'll give her that. Even with her decaying body, with all its hurts and wounds, she found masks to cover herself and the strength not to hurt, and she kept plowing on. What can you tell me about the Changing Gods? That's kind of important. Brilliant, charming, and ruthlessly self-centered. More blood on his hands than I'll ever have. Legend says he wiped out the Tabat, a nearly complete genocide. He left no one alive as an object lesson. One of their generals enslaved the city to teach his enemies not to cross him. And how many Castoffs are there? She shrugs. Hundreds? Who knows? Supposedly the Changing God went to other worlds, bent time and space, slipped through dimensions, and he always had his spare bodies with him. There could be thousands, millions for all I know. That's many. What can you tell me about this place? This is the Cave of Last Words. It was a thieves' hole until the tunnel leading in collapsed. 500-600 years ago it was where the scum of the city would slip away from the city guard. Before there were levies, before the slave families, the truly desperate lawbreakers fled here when they had no other options. That's the suicide tunnel, she points. The words on the cave walls. Those are the final words of people with nothing left to lose, etched into the bedrock of the city, burned in and burned out by the hopeless. A fitting metaphor. She looks at you appraisingly. If you question the worth of your life, these terminal thoughts are instructive. For a long time, they helped me hang on. I almost wrote my own words there many times. Not that diving off a cliff would have ended me. And then there's a ledge at the end of the tunnel, just in case those words are inspirational. Her crooked grin resurfaces. The view is also quite nice. How did you find this place? I listened to the stories of old thieves. I went to the Bloom and listened to the stories of Chila. I made friends with the Stika and asked them if they knew about a place like this. Turns out they did. Yeah. Would you travel with me? Too many with you already. Don't want to join the menagerie. Maybe after you drop them off. Yeah, that's the problem. Farewell, Matkina. Good luck. So much to... And everyone's going to level up. And I think we will take care of that next time. Because we are already over here. And yeah, I mean, we didn't really have a choice before coming here, so we went right into that conversation with her. But there we are. There we are indeed. There we are. Just exit to the main menu. You sure? Yes. Wait, no. Yes, there we go. I don't know what I'm doing today. Okay. Well, that's interesting. All went away for a moment there. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, well, that's going to be it for today. That was very interesting, very enlightening. A lot of background stuff getting sorted out there. I have to wonder if I was supposed to actually try to grab the device. The John? No, whatever it was. If we were supposed to bring it back or something. I'm trying to remember. And it's difficult because I can't remember what happened to me 5 seconds ago, apparently. There was a lot to read there. A lot of things. But we seem to have progressed somewhat. We'll have to see kind of how everything goes. Gonna need to get to where the bloom is, I think, before we leave this place. We'll have to figure this all out. There's a lot to do still, it looks like. In the meantime, though, what else is going on? Well, this weekend, tomorrow morning, there will be more We Happy Few. Again, on Sunday morning, then we're going to continue with Gold Rush, the anniversary edition. We're going to take the, I think we took to the route around Cape Horn first time, and this time we're going to go through Panama. Also on Sunday, more tabletop gamery. We are going to be playing a Call of Cthulhu scenario, which should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a modern day thing set in a well-known Swedish furniture store. I think it's going to be quite amusing, so I think that'll be fun. Then as this week goes on, we're going to have during the week on Thursday the next episode of Dirty Secrets, the campaign that we're running here this month, which is a sort of a crime story. Interesting it's a story game. We're all building this crime story together. It's very fun. And then, of course, 1 week from today, that Friday, we will come back and do more of this. And so that's that. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. And I will see you all of a sudden.